Are you a businesswoman who is finding it challenging to get your ideas across and make a point? Welcome to Speakers Who Get Results with Elizabeth Bachman, a podcast dedicated to helping women get the visibility they want, whether making a speech or talking in a meeting. Every week, get valuable lessons from Elizabeth or learn from her roundtable conversations with experts and speakers on how to make a difference, not just a point. On to the show with your host, Elizabeth Bachman.
Hello and welcome to Speakers Who Get Results. I'm Elizabeth Bachman, your host, and this is the podcast where we talk about leadership, authenticity, and embracing your superpowers so that you can show up and be recognized as the leader that you are. Before we get started with the description of my wonderful guest today, I'd like to invite you to see how your presentation skills are doing by taking our free 4-minute assessment at speakforresultsquiz.com. That's www.speakforresultsquiz.com. And that's where you can see where you're showing up as the leader you'd like to be seen as, and where perhaps a little bit of support could get you the support you need, the results you need, and the recognition that you deserve. My guest today is the wonderful Jennie López. Jennie was my guest on Speakers Who Get Results 2 years ago, where she had first published her book, Intentional Unicorn. And she's now gone out on her own to do her full-time coaching. Her official bio is that she embodies bring yourself to work in everything that she does. She empowers diversity and engages employees and organizations to achieve new highs. And her superpower is her authenticity. And you'll see when you see the interview what she's like. She's got the strengths are a combination of her Latinx heritage, her passions and learnings from being a mom, and intentionally using her strengths. That's been her secret towards her personal and professional successful growth journey. She's a business owner, and her mission is to empower Latinos, immigrants, and women to unleash their authentic superpowers and thrive in life and in career. She's originally from Puerto Rico, moved to the U.S. to complete her master's in chemical engineering. And her engineering career includes roles in both manufacturing and quality, including being the head of a manufacturing site. And her last role in her 23 years career was one of the most rewarding ones as the VP head of global recruiting and talent acquisition for Eli Lilly and Company. She's been on numerous boards and she's done many, many other things. It's much too long to read here now. Let me just say that the things that you wouldn't notice from her corporate background is that she's also been a backup dancer for artists like Julio Iglesias and Ednito Nazario. And on TV shows, she's a Super Bowl winning NFL cheerleader captain, fitness instructor, presenter, Zumba master trainer, and the author of the recently launched book and Amazon bestseller, Intentional Unicorn. She's also a featured author in the book Hispanic Stars Rising and is frequently known as a guest presenter. This year especially, she got the special recognition of the 2024 Women of Making History in Indianapolis, awarded by Telemundo Indy. So she's a devoted mom, a marvelous entrepreneur, and great fun to talk to. I know you'll enjoy the interview. On to the interview with Jennie López. Jennie López, welcome back to Speakers Who Get Results. I'm so happy to have you here. Yay, hooray. Welcome.
Thank you. I am so excited to be back and talking with you, Elizabeth.
Well, it's so much fun because I found you had just published your book, Intentional Unicorn. And when we first spoke,
Yes.
And then at that time you had a full-time job and you were doing all of this. And I just said, oh, wow, I've been following you ever since. It's great fun. So anybody who's not following Jennie López, you should. She does really fun things. on social media. So before I get into the questions, though,
Mhm.
let me ask you, who would be your dream interview? If you were to interview someone who's no longer with us, who would it be? What would you ask them? And who should
Yeah,
be listening?
yeah, that's a beautiful question. I will say, and not to get into religion, but I will say Jesus. So I'm
Okay.
recently learning more about the faith and things like that. And having two teenagers now, right? Being a mom of two teenagers, I would love to have an opportunity to ask him, okay, please let me know in words that I can understand, right? How to continue to empower them to
Mm-hmm.
follow your teachings in this complex world that we live on.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that will be my question, and I will be all ears.
Ah, good. I often think about it was, 30 something rabbi. And in
Hmm.
those days, 30 was old. So,
Yes.
here he was a rabbi and he was preaching this heretical stuff. How much of what we think of as modern Christianity is what has been glued on top
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
what he originally said,
Yes.
or interpreted. We certainly know a lot of it was interpreted by the men who followed him and so
Yes.
forth.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very, that would be fun. It would be an interesting time. It would be interesting to go back and actually listen in, assuming you
Hmm.
could understand the language and everything, and
Yes. I know.
listen in,
I led
see what the
a
reality was.
Absolutely. And I led a Bible study. This is a whole story that I'm not going to go into details for Latinos in my church. It was the first Bible study for Latinos. And we're reading the Bible, and it's so easy now to say, oh, white people reacted that way. They should have known better. But we know now because we have read the Bible. But at that point, like you said, it was very something that the teachings were so radical, right, in
Uh-huh.
nature. So you cannot judge, right, by what you know right now on how people reacted. But anyways, yeah, it's just it will be an incredible thing if that was an opportunity.
Very interesting. Well, I'll be in the audience. So, Jenny, last time we spoke, you had a full-time job, as we said, and you'd
Yes,
written the book Intentional Unicorn, and you were talking about it, but you were still working in
yes,
your corporate job.
yes.
I'm curious about how you applied the unicorn principles in your former career in HR.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's start with that. Uh,
Yes, I
Talk
love
about
that.
what your principles actually are.
Absolutely. I think when it comes down to two things. Is really have an growing an inner confidence on who you are, what are your superpowers and what you bring to the table, right? How you can help others. And then having an understanding that nobody drives your journey but you. You are
Mm,
creating your journey. With that lens, that's how you make these bold decisions. And you mentioned about my career in HR. Actually, that was the end of my career. I'm a
yeah.
chemical engineer, and most of my career was in manufacturing quality. We talked a little bit about that in the prior podcast. And after 17 years, I'm thinking, okay, I am ready for something new. I felt stuck, not in position, but I just was not growing. And I felt like a little bird trapped in a little cage that
Hmm.
I knew I could offer so much more, but I felt that somebody clipped my wings
Hmm.
and I knew it was time for me to change. I would say these principles were pivotal for me for that first career change. So I went from 17 years in manufacturing and quality to the business side.
Hmm.
The way I did it is like, okay, what are my superpowers? Things that I can bring. Doesn't matter if I'm in IT, in the business, procurement, sales, it doesn't matter. I know I can add a lot of value with these superpowers. And when I mention that, I'm not talking about everything you do well, because then we dilute ourselves.
Hmm.
It's those things where you're in flow and you do an incredible job. That's one
Hmm.
piece. And then the other one is that people forget that when we create our journey, it's a two-way process. People are interviewing us, but we're also interviewing them. So having
Hmm.
clarity into what are the things that that role has to have for me to thrive, because I can leverage my superpowers and it will be great, because have something that I'm going to grow as a professional or as a leader, and it's
Hmm.
going to be more tools in the tool set, but also more opportunities in the future because I'm expanding myself. And then what are the non-negotiables? And these are different depending on who the person is. Is it work-life integration? Is it the culture? Is it the supervisor, etc.? So with that kind of triage, you lead and into driving into what's your next role. So after having that first vote, so I went from manufacturing to the business very successfully. And the cool thing is that you get this confidence after the fact because you say, gosh, if I was able to do that, then bring it on. So when the HR role that you're talking about showed up, I was like, let's do it. And I knew that I didn't know what I didn't know, but I was very confident in what I brought to the table from day one. So it's having that nice balance. And I will say, same principles of starting my business in 2020, same principles of how I ended up living a very successful career to fully dedicate on my passion and my mission.
And just quickly, are there things about being a chemical engineer or a quality specialist that you now use?
Now use in my business.
That you use now, things that inform the way you live your life now.
Interesting. I never had that view, but I would say, and I love the whole engineering career or background. You're trained on how to solve problems. And life is a journey where you're solving one problem after the other in your professional side or in your personal side. So I think that has served me well through my whole career and even like my personal side. I'm not shy away from problems. I think problems make me grow. Are they fun? No, they're not. But on the other side is awesome because you just continue to expand and grow.
Well, and also something the value of getting it right.
Yeah.
Because if you're part of quality, I've had clients who are in quality control, and and then quality control when you've got software engineers and they've written the program, they really don't want to fix the bugs, and how do you get them to go back and fix the bugs when they really feel like they're
Yes.
done? That was a big challenge. So Jennie, I know I've heard you say that you thought about starting your own business and going out on your own for about a year before you did it. How can we know when it's time and then know how to do it intentionally so it'll continue to support us? Because
Yes.
it's replacing a paycheck. So that's a
Yeah,
big leap.
absolutely. I will say I started my business in the pandemic in 2020. I don't think people know about that, but I started small. And
The-
during the pandemic, I had this big call. I don't know, call it God, whatever you want to call it, that I was meant to have all the experiences that I have had to now empower others to
Mhm.
really be successful and accelerate their journey. So that's when I started my business. I wrote the book that we talked about. But my idea, Elizabeth, this whole time was that I'm going to retire early at age 55 and then boom, I'm going to go on my that was my whole plan the whole time. I was
Mhm.
going to do both. But I started seeing the outcomes of my clients. I started really enjoying whenever I go to organizations and speak and empower. And I said, what if I do it sooner? But there's no one size fits all. There's no one formula that you say you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Like I was
Mhm.
telling you before, if we would have been here like in 2020, I would have been YouTube saying like, how do you do that? Because everybody has a different way. And when I will be looking for how do you do it, everybody is very young in their journey, right? And they go to entrepreneurship or they have another consistent income, right?
Mhm.
So there's different ways. And I'm like, no, that's not me. That's not me. That's not me. And yes, even though I told you that I was looking for it, I just couldn't see other role models that have done it because I wanted the ABCDEFG, right? A
Mhm.
concept. So what I did is, okay, I'm gonna do what I can do because when you have a corporate job, you have to do it on your free time or at night or take vacation time for it, which is what I did. So then my engineering cap was, okay, well, I'm gonna do it. And when I get to the same thing as my salary, I'll say bye-bye and then go. That's what makes sense. But when you have such a limited amount of time, I could
Mhm.
not grow the business to that. Like it was not even close, right? And I'm thinking, oh goodness, but I want to do it now. I got like that voice, it just kept getting larger and larger and larger. So I started saying, okay, let me start with proof of concept. Organically, when the time I have, no paying for ads or anything, does this thing work? And I started getting repeat clients. I started getting really good outcomes on my coaching clients. And I said, goodness, I do this on my free time, imagine if I'm fully dedicated to that. So that part, I'm like, okay, I can do that. Now fear creeps in, right? Because I never done
Ah,
it before. And then this is something that I will say, and everybody who's watching this, please listen to this and apply it every day in your life. Where your focus goes, energy follows. So my focus was all negative. What if I don't make the same amount of money? What if I let my kids down? Because even though I don't live a crazy life, they're in dancing and taekwondo, and that's super expensive. What if I fail? What will people say? All these things. And when you go into that kind of mindset, you go down really fast. And then I said, goodness, Jenny, do what you preach. Like, change the quality of the questions. And I started saying, what if I make more money? Which in reality, it is a possibility, yes? And
mhm.
because of that, I can give better memories to my kids. What if I'm successful and I can teach others to do the same? And then I started saying, goodness, my kids, they're teenagers now. So what a better time for them to see their mom going after her dream and just being successful and having different versions of what a successful career could look like, career, business, etc. I didn't have those examples. So I that for me was what made it urgent. The
Mhm.
time is now because my kids are watching and I'm going to show them that it's possible. So when I had that, the inner voice that kept going on, the proof of concept going well, I said, there's not a perfect time. Like people will say, well, wait for the bonus next year. Like, well, what am I going to do after that? Wait for the next bonus? There's no perfect time. So I just follow my heart and I say, this is it. I'm going to bet on myself.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
And your clients are very happy about this. I know this,
Yes.
so that you got more time to do this. Tell me a little bit about your superpowers of taking bold actions
Hmm.
and talk about filling your cup. I've heard you mention that. What does that mean?
Yes. Filling your cup is making sure that a lot of people think about that our only resources are time, right, and money. And I
Mhm.
would say energy is just as important because when you are in a state of energy that you're at your best, right, that's whenever you do your best work.
Mhm.
Is that, and I don't have a cup with me. The only cup I have has water, and I'm not going to dump it on myself. But if you have a cup, right, and you fill it up with your energy and you dump it, because especially as women, we tend to serve and give and love, and we keep pouring and pouring and pouring, and at the end of that cup there's nothing, right? The cup is dry,
Mhm.
exhausted, and that's how we are. And it takes so much longer to get it full. So I always say prioritize yourself and making sure that that cup is full, because that's whenever you're in the state of energy. Like a lot of people say, Jenny, how come you do so many things? And I don't see them as job. I'd never say yes to something that drains me. Never.
Ah, okay.
Never.
Good.
Like the people I choose to spend my time with. Yeah, the little
Mhm.
things. The commitments I choose to say yes. My job, I say my job, my business is my joy now. Before, I love my job. I'm not one of those who say, oh, the 9 to 5 and I hate my job. I actually love my job. Best team, best supervisor, best job I ever had. That's what I left. But
Mhm.
I'm very choosy with my yeses.
Mhm.
So, and I do that. And usually when I say that, usually I get two reactions. Oh, but you have time to fill your cup. And I say, no, we all have the same amount of time. And if somebody that you love say, hey, I really need you right now, do you think that you will find the time to be with that person? So then I will say, love yourself the same way you love that person.
Mhm.
And then the other thing that I get from people is, oh, I feel selfish because then, I need to be here, I need to be there, I need to be there. But honestly, are they getting the best of you? So when you prioritize yourself and fill your cup, that's whenever you can love and care at your best. And I always, whatever that is for you, I fill my cup working out, dancing, I paint. I just micro doses. Doesn't have to be half a day. And don't wait until you're burnt out to fill your cup. You just have to be a routine, a habit of filling it up every day.
That I love that. I know you have this wonderful list of the steps that you take, of
Mm-hmm.
the clarity, unleashing your superpowers,
Yes.
mastering confidence, taking intentional action and then show the world. Talk about mastering confidence, if you would.
Ooh, yes. You know what? The best decision I have made in my whole life was investing on myself about 8 years ago and starting my personal development journey. And with that, you learn a lot about mindset because success in life, people think is the classes we take, the trainings, the certifications, experience. That's only 20%. 80% of success is psychology, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the way you build confidence, you think that you're like, okay, I'm going to wait until I do this, or I'm going to wait until I get that promotion, or I'm going to wait until this happens for me to feel confident. When in fact, you build the confidence by taking that uncomfortable action.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the chicken and the egg, right? Like what goes first? So
Yes.
for me, the way you build that confidence is like when people say, Elizabeth, oh, fake it until you make it. I don't like that because I'm not in alignment. It's almost when they say, hey, do this, it's not incantations, what the words like the motivational
Manifestations or
mantras
affirmations.
and things like that, right? It's almost like you said, oh, like I'm a millionaire, and you're like, who are you talking about? You're not a millionaire, right? Whatever that is, right? But then what you can do is take actions towards what
Mm-hmm.
you want to be, right? Because the person you need to become to get to that next goal is different from the person you are right now. But
Mm-hmm.
the way you build that confidence is by taking that action. I actually have a tool that it's so simple, but I have just little sticky notes, right? And then I put there like the top 2 or 3 qualities of the person I aspire to be. So right now will be successful businesswoman, right? And things like that. And I put it on the mirror when I brush my teeth. And then every day I look at it, brush my teeth, wash my face, and I say, what action or what did I do today that is taking me closer to that person that I want to become? Is either I talk to somebody, I learn from a training, I discuss it with my coach, whatever that is. And it's just taking you to get there. That's how you build confidence.
I love that. And have support. Because I
Yes.
find for so many of us trying to do it alone, it's too easy. I mean, for me at least,
Mm-hmm.
I really rely on my community
Yes.
to keep me going and, give me a little kick where I need it, and so forth, because the voices in my head are kept me small for years.
Yes. Yes.
And I mean, this is where having a coach is really helpful, is to someone who says, okay, go ahead and do it. Yeah.
Holds you accountable too. Yeah, I love that. It's so funny because we see people very successful in our corporate life or our business life, and we think, oh, they're so lucky, they're so confident. They didn't do it alone. Like
Yeah.
nobody does it alone. They're not advertising all the community they have, the coaches they have, all the time they spend with the people that help them become the person they are. So that's why I'm always very thankful. Actually, when I wrote that book, I dedicated to my key mentors because they play a key role in the person I'm becoming as a leader.
Mhm.
So absolutely, nobody does it alone. And you become the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So it's
Yes.
not just the coach, but the people, your tribe, right? Are they helping you grow or are they bringing you back?
Well, I think this would be a good lead into you've got a community of unicorn dream makers.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, and it's for that person that doesn't fit the mold. And that's my whole message. There's a lot of us that come to a new industry, a new country, a new something, right? And when we look around, we don't see people that look or behave like us, and we feel that unicorn that's sticking out for the wrong reasons. And we try to hide it because we want to fit the mold so we can be successful, but nobody
To fit the
wins.
picture, fit into the picture, right?
Yes, yes. But nobody wins in that formula because we get exhausted trying to portray somebody who we are not, and the company doesn't get the best of you, right? Because
Mhm.
you're not being yourself. So we need to unleash that horn and make it shine because that's whenever we do our best work. So my whole vision is making sure that everybody's a unicorn. Go with confidence and rock it out there. And for companies to also appreciate the uniqueness that everybody brings, right? You need that combination. So I created this coaching process that you just talked about, where I get very clear with the person what's their goal. Because sometimes they think, oh, it's too late. Or
Mhm.
sometimes they say, I don't see anybody like me that has done this crazy goal or dream that I have. So we get clear to that, and then we unleash what their superpowers are. So we get to that authenticity element. Now, when we do that, we're building an intentional personal brand that is going to help them grow. So people and opportunities are coming to them versus them saying, please pick me, right? So it's a different dynamic. You control it, you control your journey, you create your journey. And then it's the mindset. We talk about all those mindset tools. That's the confidence piece, because they're doing something that they've never done before. So of course, fear and doubt are going to creep in. But what do you do when that happens? So we build all of that, and then taking that intentional action, even when with courage, right? Because a lot of
Mhm.
that you're going to be fearful, but you do it in spite of. And that's how you build confidence and courage. And then share the world is the last piece, because whatever you learn through this process, share it, right? Don't keep it to yourself. Empower the next generation or your family or your friends.
I love this. You're talking about not fitting the mold, not fitting in. It's so easy to think there's something wrong with us if we
Hmm.
don't feel like we fit. How can we see what the issue is? If the issue is that actually there's a mold or a box that we don't fit in, or we don't fit in anymore. I think about
Yes.
all those pictures of cats cramming into a box that's too small. You know, it fit when you were a kitten, but not now. How can we, if there's somebody who's listening
Hmm.
who said, I thought I was the problem,
Mm.
how could one start that exploration?
That's a really good question. And there's two things, right? I don't give up right away. I
Mhm.
try my best to give my pure best by controlling my narrative. Yes? And
Mhm.
helping people understand, connect the dots for them instead of the other way around. So for example, when people will say, "But Jenny, you're just too nice and you have too much fun, and I don't know if I can trust you with a real difficult manufacturing site," which I was told. And I
Mhm.
said, you know what? It's not that I'm too nice. I care. And that makes me a phenomenal inclusive leader. And that's why you've seen me connect with employees the way that is very different to my peers. And you've seen me transform organization for the past 14 years. I control it. So there is a way, right? My energy is another one that is like really high. And
Mhm.
I bring that and I don't shy away, because now I know that sometimes that's what is needed in meetings to like get everybody up together and getting them excited to the goal. So I lead with that. But I have had times in my career where you just continue to like swim against the current and swim against the current, and it takes a toll on you. And that
Oh, yeah.
happened to me. It happened to me. I came back from work one time and I thought I was, keeping all together. And my husband said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And he's like, "No, are you okay?" And he looked at me, Elizabeth, like almost like he was reading my soul. And he said, I know he knew. And I said,
Mhm.
"Goodness, I thought I was keeping a good front and I'm not." And I started crying, and I'm not a crier. So he's like, "Wait, what's happening?" And I said, "Okay, enough is enough." And if he sees that my kids are seeing that and they're not getting the best I can be for them as a mom, and I knew it was time to go where I'm celebrated and not tolerated.
Okay. Celebrated, not tolerated. I love
Hmm.
that. That's a great phrase. That should be up on the wall. Go where you're
It is,
celebrated.
it's not, yeah, it's not mine. I got it from somebody. I forgot where it's coming from, but for me, it resonates, and that's how I go. I give my value, but why? You're not going to get a medal at the end of the day, like, "Oh, I was able to withstand all of this, and it took a toll on me, and now I'm super sick." You're not
Uh,
going to get a medal. Go where you are celebrated, and in that type of environment, you just unleash the best of you, and everything flows with that.
I love that. That's great. And take the leap and
Yes.
try it. So how could somebody start? How could somebody find out more about what you're doing?
Yes, just like the book, I'm in every social media under Intentional Unicorn. And even if you need a little bit of cup of energy in LinkedIn, you'll see me there, just like Elizabeth was saying. She's really fun. I'll be that person empowering you almost on a daily basis there.
Yes.
But if you go to intentionalunicorn.com, you can see my offers as a coach, as a keynote speaker, and as a consultant.
Actually, I think you need to tell us how you came up with that name, the intentional unicorn.
Oh my gosh, the story is so funny, and I'll be concise. We talked a little bit about that in the previous podcast. I was in a team building exercise, and the facilitator said, "Okay, go on a piece of paper and write down if you were to write your memoir, what would be the picture in the cover, and what would be the title? You have 5 minutes." And I started sweating. Everybody went for it. And I'm thinking, oh goodness, I don't know. I never thought about that. So I put a stick figure, I put a line in the middle, and half of me was my professional size. I was wearing glasses, my hair was down, I was wearing heels, professional attire. And on the other side, I was striking a dancing pose because that's my artistic side. And then I put a ponytail here. It was in color, the other side. Put a ponytail. And then I started laughing. And my goodness, this looks like a horn instead of a ponytail. And then I'm thinking, most of my career, I felt like that unicorn that was sticking out for the wrong reasons. And now I bring the best of me in every setting. So I put unicorn, and then I said, no, I'm intentional. So that's how it started. I think I have it in the book. It's just so funny. But the funniest part was that the next day, I never thought about it. People started making fun of it. And the next day they said, we have a special guest today, and you're going to share your memoir. And you know who was the guest? It was the CEO of the company. And everybody went with this very thoughtful, I'm going to eradicate diseases. I'm going to make an impact in my community. And then I come with this drawing, which
the
is
intentional
so
unicorn.
And I come back, this is me. And I'm thinking, this is the end of your career, Jenny. But the funny thing is that because it was so different, people remember. And then a year after, they asked me to do a keynote about that in the biggest global development event that they had in the company. And the rest is history, right? Now, that's how I live with that intentional unicorn.
Okay. Well, Jennie López, I'm so glad we met a couple of years ago. I just love following you and keeping in touch with you and all of that. And congratulations for taking the leap and going out on your own. Absolutely. I think it's a gift to anybody who works with you. You were talking about going to the website to figure things out. Say there's somebody who's driving, so they can't get to the website, and they've got another hour or so in the car. What could they start thinking about right now? Something they could apply today?
Yes. Honestly, understanding your superpowers is the most important thing you can do, because that is going to give you clarity in how you lead discussions, how you lead in interviews, how you create your personal branding, how you create your presence in LinkedIn, because I know that's really important for your career opportunities, etc. But you need to be very confident on what that is. And then just start reflecting. And there are different ways, right? There's assessments, that's just an input, but ask people, describe me in 3 words, right?
Oh,
and
yes.
use common themes. You can think back about what are the kind of projects that people usually ask me to help them with or to lead. And when you start doing that, you'll see a common theme, right? And sometimes these superpowers, Elizabeth, are like, I will say, God's gifts. And they're so second nature to you that you don't even see it, but other people see it. So be on the lookout for those.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where I would say, you can always send out a message to 5 people who are colleagues. And you can just say, I have an assignment from my coach. So for right now, Jennie and I are your coaches. I have an assignment from my coach. Give me 3 words that describe me. Because as the old saying goes, you can't see the label when you're inside the bottle. It's hard to recognize our own superpowers because they're easy for us.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
get some feedback of, what are the things that are really easy for us that I'm good at doing, that I like doing.
Yes.
That's a superpower.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. I had a quick, one of my really good friends, unfortunately, Oh gosh, she went through a really bad situation last year, and the way she coped with grief was by writing. And she
Mm-hmm.
just poured her heart writing. And she said, Jenny, can you read this couple of pages? And I said, of course. And I'm telling you, Elizabeth, it was the most beautiful thing I have read. Like it brought me through emotions of hope and tears, and was still laughs at times. It was amazing. And I told her, you have a gift. And then she said, what do you mean? I just went to the computer and I just started writing what came to my head. And like, it's a gift. This is something that you need to somehow think about, either voicing it or publishing or something. So yeah, everybody has, many of us have those God gifts.
Yes. Well, Jennie López, I am just so happy to have you as a guest again on Speakers Who Get Results. And we will be posting a link to the last episode. So check the show notes here. And then get the book, call her up. It's a great book. It's really great fun, and follow her on social media. She's great fun. This has been Speakers Who Get Results. I'm Elizabeth Bachman, your host. If you enjoyed this conversation, please tell your friends, give us a good review on Apple Podcasts. That's the one that gets us ranked. And sign up, subscribe, spread the word so we can have more interviews with amazing, amazing guests like Jennie López. This has been Speakers Who Get Results. I'll see you on the next one.
We have just concluded another great episode of Speakers Who Get Results with your host, Elizabeth Bachman. If you got value from today's episode, please feel free to share us with your friends and colleagues. You may also visit elizabethbachman.com for additional resources. Be sure to tune in every week for new episodes, and thanks for tuning in.